Welcome to Conversations Different, the podcast of the Santa Fe New Mexican, featuring the interesting people, places, and issues of northern New Mexico. This week, we are talking about an upcoming concert, Voices of Life, Voices of Light from the Zia Singers. With us today are Susan Anders, composer and performer, and John Tiranno, director of the Zia Singers. Welcome.
Thanks, Inez.
We're so happy to have you here talking about something fresh and new in this new year. And John, I want you to start with just telling us about the show and what people can expect, and just start with the basics, when and where, and what people will be watching when they go to hear it.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. So our concerts, as you said, are called Voices of Life, Voices of Light. And it's a very exciting concert in that every piece of music on the program was composed by a woman. And we are an all women's ensemble, and I just thought, boy, this is a clever idea that I had, and so we put this together. It based around a piece of music called Everyday Wonders, The Girl from Aleppo. That's the centerpiece of the concert. It's a 20-minute choral cantata about this young girl, Kurdish girl, who was seeking asylum. And it's a pretty famous story. And she was she had cerebral palsy and couldn't escape on her own. So she needed her sister to push her in the wheelchair. And she went through 8 different countries until finally finding asylum in Germany. And it's a tremendous story and a beautiful piece of music. This harrowing story kind of condensed into 20 minutes of music, but it's 5 movements, and it's really exciting and exhilarating and hopeful and beautiful. And so that's the centerpiece of the concert. And then we have a bunch of other repertoire by living contemporary composers, one of which we'll talk about in a minute, who's on this podcast with us, Susan Anders. And so I just decided to put together this concert of contemporary women composers, and I'm super excited about it. So the concerts are Saturday, January 10th and Sunday, January 11th, 2026, both at 3 p.m. and both at Christ Church here in Santa Fe. It's a new performance venue for us, and we're really excited. It's a beautiful sanctuary, beautiful space, and we're really excited to be in there.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. And it sounds like a really good way to start the year. And, speaking of some of the other composers that are going to be featured, Susan, you're with us, and you're doing A Wave That Rocks Me, which you have arranged, and you're also performing. So talk about what that is and what you hope people will get from it when they listen.
A Wave That Rocks Me originally was a song on an album I put out during the pandemic called 13 Women. All of the women on the album the songs were inspired by women from US history. And the original Wave That Rocks Me was there, inspired by Edmonia Lewis, and a part Black, part Ojibwe orphan, born in the 19th century, who endured incredible hardship. I always wanted to be a sculptor, and managed, despite all these rocks thrown in her way, or waves, made it to Rome and became a world famous sculptor. Wow. And her story was just, her determination was very inspiring. And so I wrote the song about it back then, and then arranged it for women's choir and pitched it to John last summer. And he caught the ball and went with it. And I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah. I like the idea that not just that you're featuring women, but you're featuring songs that have stories that will give us something to think about after we leave the concert. I mean, considering, the political world today with the whole discussions of mass migration, I mean, John, this piece really addresses kind of what's going on in the world around us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, it's a beautiful piece of music. As I said, it's a little unfair I think, to the story, to have it condensed into such a short period of time, because obviously this took more than 20 minutes, and
Right.
it was as I mentioned before, a very harrowing story for these young ladies. And so I think the composer Celia McDowall did a wonderful job of showing all of the emotions, or as many as possible. And it is timely, yeah, for sure. I mean, that wasn't my first thought when I found the piece, but it turns out to be, something that has fit very nicely into what's happening in our world today.
Right. Well, and obviously, when you're doing a musical performance, it's not about politics and it's not about,
Not at all.
the discussions in the bigger world, but a piece that tells a human story, I think gives a face to migration so that people who maybe aren't as open to having someone from Syria live next door to them might think about this little girl after they hear it.
Sure. No, that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a beautiful piece of music, and my initial bent, as soon as I looked at it, was to do the dive on her and learn about her
Mhm.
and learn the story. And I'm thinking, because of the concert, that may happen with the audience,
Yeah.
that people will go a little bit deeper and find out more.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Susan. And it's in Santa Fe, you're probably going to get an audience that doesn't mind migration and supports immigrants, et cetera. But we still tend to see them as immigrants, this mass. And now we know about this little girl. And think about her sister pushing the wheelchair. That's just such an amazing story of courage. Do you
Absolutely.
have? Oh, go ahead, Susan.
Oh,
Talk
no, I
about.
was just agreeing with you.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking about your piece. Is it for all the voices? How does that work? Because it's a choral piece, Susan. So how did you change it from a song that you performed to featuring more people?
The original song had a lot of layered vocals, which I
Okay.
tend to do when I'm producing my songs. I'm in love with lots and lots of layered vocals. I had something to start with, and I'd been with the choir for 4 seasons at that point. I knew the ranges. I knew what might work with the group, and so I just started layering parts. I had to split the 4 different vocal groups in a couple of places to go for 6 voices, but we're up to that challenge.
Nice. And I think your point about the young girl is true about the person in your wave piece, because how many people knew that there's this woman who got to Rome and became a sculptor despite all the obstacles? And that's something that should inspire us.
Yes, absolutely. I hope that people will dig deeper into her story. She actually had a US postage stamp I
Nice.
made for her, and she has gotten a little bit more renown over the last few years, but more people should hear about Edmonia Lewis. She just was an amazing person.
I think that in this world where people are disparaging the idea of DEI as diversity, as people getting attention they don't deserve, again, you don't need to be political, but this is just an example of an exceptional woman that maybe we haven't heard about. And now that we know about her, we're going to be inspired ourselves.
She was interesting when in Rome at the time, sculptors were actually handing their work out to underlings to do the hardcore work for
Oh,
them.
wow.
And she, because she was a woman and a woman of color, said, "Nope, I'm doing everything for myself," and just to prove that she could.
So she really went after it. That's pretty interesting. This week's podcast, this will air in January, but this week's podcast actually is about a sculptor who was blind and
Wow.
had one of his arms injured in an accident, and he still managed to become a world famous and renowned sculptor. And he also went to Rome at one point because he got to visit the David. So I kind of like the juxtaposition of these two things.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah. So John, the centerpiece is your piece about Aleppo, but what are some of the other parts of this show that's happening?
Yeah, so I began, as I will say in my comments in the program, I was in New York City, browsing music at the Juilliard bookstore, which is when I found this Everyday Wonders, The Girl from Aleppo. And I found a few other pieces, and I wasn't thinking at the time, oh, I'm gonna put together a program of all women composers. But as I started to look at some of the music I had found, I noticed the theme. I said, oh wow, these four pieces, they're all female composers. This is great. Why don't we run with this? So I started looking for repertoire, and there's lots of it out there, of course, and there's so many young and exciting composers in the world today that are writing beautiful music. Um, I had too many options, honestly, so save them for future concerts. But there's I have almost all of them are favorites of mine. That's why I program them. But there's a few that do stand out. There's a beautiful piece called "Listen" by Rena Esmail. And there's a great story about this piece as well. She was working with a choir in Los Angeles, a Skid Row choir, and there was a man that she met in that group. And this song is based on some of his words. She just on conversations they had. Once she realized that he had passed away, kind of suddenly, it really affected her, and she remembered their interactions. And the song "Listen," he said, the one act of love I know for sure is to listen. And
Oh,
I mean, it's what a better what there's no better message. And so we are programming that, and really excited to sing it. Another song on the program is called "Listen to the World." Not all the songs have the word "listen" in them. These are just the only two. But this piece is by a friend of mine, a composer, conductor, musician who lives in New York City, Judith Klorman. And I worked with Judy many, many times when I lived in New York for a long time. And she wrote this beautiful piece, "Listen to the World." And it's, a similar theme, like just there's so much out there for us to learn about, and to be aware of, and to be just thankful for. And if we just listen, we
yeah.
just need to listen. And so there's plenty of other pieces that I'd love to highlight, but those are two that come to mind for sure.
Oh, good. Well, we can highlight some of the others in the next segment, and we'll be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
We make renewable doable. We're positive energy solar for a cleaner, brighter future for all. Positive energy's the right call. Feel good about your energy bill. Help save the planet too. Your trusted solar company, working hard for you. Generate positive energy. Positive energy solar.
We're back with Conversations Different, talking to John Tiranno and Susan Anders about an upcoming concert of the Zia Singers. John, I want to go back to you for a moment and just think about the idea of listen.
Yeah.
Again, you can't bring politics into your musical performance, but we live in a world where our leaders seem not to listen. They're not listening to the world. They're not listening to each other. They don't listen to us, the people. And what a great message, that love is listening, that again, with the focus on a street person, you're looking at humanizing. It's not the homeless, it's this man who had wise words for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the power of music is so strong, and we as musicians, as singers, have a responsibility, I feel, to share this message, and it comes across in a different way. You can hear people talking on TV or at a pep rally, or and read the paper, and there's lots of different ways to get a message across. But we're I always tell my singers, my students, anybody that will listen, honestly, listen. There, I said it. Anybody that will listen, that I think singers are the luckiest musicians around, because we have text to deal with. We have a fabulous collaborative pianist that worked with the Zia Singers, Deborah Wagner, and she plays beautifully. And we have a couple of guest instrumentalists who will be joining us, a percussionist and a violinist, and they, can play anything and play wonderfully. But they don't have words to add to their music, and so we are really lucky, and I think it's a responsibility that we have is to get the messages out there and to share. And you're right, we try not to be political at all. Jumping ahead to our spring concert, I just will say quickly, we're doing a large piece as our sort of centerpiece, and it's called Washington Women, and it's a story. It's made up of about 18 um, famous Washingtonians from both sides of the political aisle, who from their writings and their speeches and all sorts of stuff, and that is of course politics, and you see Barbara Bush, and you see Michelle Obama, and you see different Supreme Court justices' names, and all of this, but it's not a political statement. It's about love and listening and helping, and everybody can do that. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are on. So yeah, I just feel it's a responsibility of mine and the Zia Singers to be out there and to share messages of hope and love and peace, and just
And
those
on
are
top of
the
that, I think one of the things that stands out for the Zia Singers, and this is all credit to John because he's picking pieces for us that have depth and
Okay.
they resonate. The music is often beautiful, so it's pleasant on the spot. But it's not merely pleasant music. There is some challenge in there, and that calls to me. That's one of the wonderful things about the Zia Singers.
Oh, that's a really important point because I think in our modern culture, I know I do. I'm a terrible audience. I just like to listen and be happy and go home. You consume it quickly. But in the pieces that you guys are presenting, it sounds as if there's something to chew on that if I stretch myself, I'm going to get more out of it. And the audience is going to do a little work in the best possible way, Susan. Do you agree with that or think that's a good thing?
Well, I think great art, it's pleasing.
Yeah.
It's pleasing. If it weren't pleasing, we wouldn't listen.
Right.
But it's nice to have something to chew on, as you said. It's nice to be able to dig a little deeper with it and for things to be evocative.
Yeah.
So good work, John.
Well, thank you. It's tricky. I was asked, I think, in a previous interview at some point about picking repertoire, and this is my second year now as the artistic director of the Zia Singers. As Susan said, she's been in the group 4 years, and she knows the group well, and I'm learning the group. Last year was very difficult. I had to pick repertoire, especially for our first concerts, without ever rehearsing the group, without knowing the group. It was a difficult thing to do. So you try to take your singers into consideration and the kinds of things that they will respond to. Our group is very active in social justice and doing right, by people in the community. There's lots of fundraisers and people that they're donating to causes, and I just know that our group is really proactive in that regard. So finding music that will suit them and will inspire them. It's 53 singers. I know I'm not going to find music that every single singer is going to enjoy, and I have emails to prove it. But it's okay. I think we're doing a pretty good job of finding a comfort zone where we can challenge them musically, but also emotionally and maybe spiritually, and trying to get messages out there, in a way that's going to help us as ourselves, help us grow, and hopefully help our audiences grow.
Okay. And Susan, when we had talked before we started recording about how you had lived in Nashville previously, and obviously now you're here. What attracted you to the Zia Singers as a performer and as someone who with works that could be performed by them?
I found the Zia Singers online before I moved here. They, during the pandemic, put out a video and they had sung a Sweet Honey in the Rock song. And I thought, okay, this is in my wheelhouse. I can go for this. And so I sat in with the choir when I was on a reconnaissance mission here to see if this was where I wanted to live, and just a very welcoming group. And so I didn't know anyone when I moved here. I joined the choir, instant community. Plus I got to sing. And during the pandemic, I wanted to sing with people in person, and suddenly I got to do that.
That's so important to have a community when you move, and if you move when you're younger and you have kids, you get the school people. But
Right.
once you get like your children are grown or you don't have any or whatever, it's a little harder, I think. And and John, you have community because you're the artistic director. You teach. You probably know half the town just from your students.
It's becoming that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here about 8 years, but it's a small town, and you find lots of overlap and lots of people who you see at a choir concert or you also see them at a elementary, middle school, or middle school music concert, or you see them at an event. I was at the Santa Fe Symphony Gala last night for education, and
Nice.
and saw numerous people who I've seen at Zia Singers concerts around town and other musical events. So yeah, it's becoming that way. I'm getting to know
Oh,
quite a
good.
few people. Yeah.
That's always makes it nice. And on that note, we'll be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
This is Patrick Dorsey, publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Looking to reach a wider audience and grow your business? For 175 years, the Santa Fe New Mexican has been the trusted voice of Santa Fe, with unmatched local reach in print and online. In addition to our long-standing, independent, family-owned newspaper, we have a full-fledged marketing team with the expertise to help you succeed in the 21st century. From traditional print to precision-targeted digital advertising, we have the tools to connect you with your ideal customers. Partner with us and see the results for yourself. Advertise with the Santa Fe New Mexican and unlock your business's full potential. Visit us at santafenewmexican.com/advertising or call us at 505-995-3852. Thank you.
We are back with Conversations Different with John Tiranno and Susan Anders, and talking about Voices of Life, Voices of Light. That's an upcoming concert. And in the break, Susan, we were talking about one piece that you're particularly enthused about, and it's not even your piece. So I think that's worth hearing more about why you like it so much.
It's called Wild Embers by Melissa Dunphy, and I was going over it at home. We hadn't sung it yet, and I was actually cheering for John for having picked it because I just thought it's quite powerful. It has lots of overlapping vocals, which is one of my personal loves. It has some body percussion, which we don't do much in the choir. And it has a tribal feel to it. And I'm not going to talk about what it means because I think people should see it and hear it to get the power of it. But I just think it's a fabulous piece, and a particularly fabulous piece for an all-women choir to do.
And if I could jump in for a quick second. So Melissa Dunphy is a contemporary composer. We're planning to sing another piece by her in the spring concert. But this piece is, Susan mentioned the body percussion. We have a percussionist playing on this concert for us for a few of the pieces, including Susan's piece. But this piece leaves the percussion to the singers. So while some of the parts are singing lines, some of the other singers are making sounds, and there's some padding and some stomping,
Nice.
and to sort of give it a little, a more deep sense of a feel to the music. And it is a beautiful piece. We're going to have the pleasure of performing it in February as well, because the choir is singing some concerts with NDI New Mexico, and we needed we're singing about 4 or 5 pieces, and when you sing with dancers, you have to be very rhythmic. So this is a very rhythmic piece, and something that fit very nicely for them. So Santa Fe audiences will have a chance, if they happen to miss our concerts coming out with the Zia Singers next in January, they could come and catch us with NDI in February.
Oh, good. And I'm glad you explained what body percussion was, because I didn't know. And that's embarrassing for me because my husband's a percussionist. I should know these things, but I was like, okay, maybe they clap. So it's you make the rhythm sounds with your body.
Any part of any part of your body. Yeah, you can this or stomp or clap or
Okay.
I don't know any
It
of those
seems
things.
to be showing up more and more in contemporary choral pieces.
I used to watch that show, which I would sing off one of those, but one of the things they did is they did a lot of the background rhythm with their voices and with their bodies. And it really showed that even without instrumental music, the voice was so powerful.
One of my most favorite, and when I was a high schooler and into college, I was in a variety of a cappella groups
Oh,
and was a very fond part of my growing up. And I teach at the Gonzalez Community School, and one of the things I do every time this time of year for all of my classes, I play them a variety of holiday music by a fabulous group called Pentatonics. It's
oh,
5 singers, and they do. I just find it's like they're awesome, and I want the kids to hear the song. And they say, "Oh, well, I heard some drums in there, Mr. Tiranno. I heard this." I said, "No, you didn't. You heard
yeah.
voices making those sounds." And so it's not just beautiful vocal lines, but your voice can make lots of sounds. And I think that's pretty interesting to the kids, and I know it's something I like a lot.
Yeah, they were one of my favorite groups from that. They're winter, God, winter something. Anyway, they're awesome. You're
Yeah,
right. That's so good for the kids because I think one of the things that you do is you bring them all sorts of music that they may or may not have heard at home,
for
and it
sure.
just open and like they say, listen to the world, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do that for our adults too. I mean, with the Zia Singers, and they do the same for me. I mean, I've been one of the songs on this concert was pitched to me. Well, actually, a couple. Right, Susan's was pitched to me by Susan, but another song that we're closing the program with called "Refuge" by Elaine
Okay.
Hagenberg, and it was pitched to me by one of our longtime singers, Julie Kirk, and she just said, sending this without comment, and I listened to it and thought, oh yeah, this is beautiful, and it has a big solo for string instrument. It's written for cello, but we're actually using violin since I have an in with a pretty fabulous violinist, my wife Elizabeth Young. And she's playing on the Girl from Aleppo as well. It's written for violin, big violin solo for that piece, and so she's agreed to arrange this for violin. And so I'm learning about pieces and about repertoire and about people. Edmonia Lewis, I hate to say it, but I had not heard of her prior to this piece, and so I'm so glad that Susan presented this to me.
Oh, nice. So it sounds like this is going to be just a wonderful grouping of music, words, um, thoughtful, just look at the world and how we humans interact in it.
I think that's a great way of phrasing it. Yeah, we have beautiful music, but beautiful messages. And the singers have been working really hard, and I'm really excited to present this to Santa Fe. After the holiday season, when maybe people are ready, they've had some rest, they're ready to come back to the new year and say, okay, what's next? Well, you know what? We're next. The Zia
Yeah.
Singers. We have two concerts. If I could just say the dates again, if you don't mind, and as
No,
January
please.
10th and January 11th, 2026, both at 3 p.m. Uh, at Christ Church here in Santa Fe. All of the information, tickets, more information about the concert can be found on our website. We have a new website. It's theziasingers.org. If you happen to go to our older website.com, it'll direct you to the .org, but we're hoping you'll go directly to theziasingers.org, and all the ticket information, anything you want to know, upcoming concerts and upcoming auditions. If I can be so bold as to just mention our auditions,
Okay.
we're going to have auditions on January the 23rd. It's a Friday afternoon, and on January 24th, a Saturday morning here in Santa Fe. The exact location is a little bit TBD, but all that information will be up on the website. And we'd love to have some new singers come out and sing for us, and maybe join the group for our spring concerts.
Right. And you guys do how many a year? Like a winter, a spring, and a
We do a
fall,
winter
or
and a spring, two
okay?
concerts in the winter, two concerts in the spring. This year we are adding a few concerts with NDI in February, so we have a few additional performances. So that's kind of in my mind to sort of expand, but we're nothing officially expanded. Just this year for sure, we're doing some additional concerts.
Good, good. So
Could
there's
I
lots of. Oh, go
one
ahead.
sec? Going back to auditions, I just want to speak to anyone who is interested and talk about rehearsals. I want to talk about John for just a second. John's clearly a really good musician and singer. And people may not know that, but he is. And I think because of the confidence of being a good musician, he's very loose. He's together as a director, but he's loose and he's funny in rehearsals, which makes rehearsals really fun. We get work done, but it's not a big formal process. And so I just wanted to say that to anyone who's interested in the choir. We have great rehearsals.
Nice. So you
Thank
have
you.
fun while you're making music.
Yes,
Yes. Oh, that's
For
good.
sure.
That's-
We work hard, no doubt
Yes.
about it. But yes,
Absolutely.
we do try to have fun. That's right.
yeah. No, you have to work hard to get it to all come together because there's so many moving parts.
For sure. For
You
sure.
know,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, I like the fact that, that Christmas is so exciting. Then you're ended, and there's always kind of a thud after the new year because I have a January birthday. So I'm the person who always got it's for Christmas and your birthday. Oh, we're all tired. We have no more money, blah, blah, blah. So this is a good thing to start the year kind of fresh and refresh yourself by listening to great music.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many wonderful concerts going on this time of year everywhere around Santa Fe and extend to Albuquerque. There's just so much happening. It was, I think, a really smart decision by the Zia Singers to make the concerts, January. Just everyone can take a deep breath, enjoy time with their family, their friends, and then, hey, we have something exciting to do in January as well. So
That's right. Gives you something to look forward to. And it sounds to me like one of the challenges of your job is that you're in the moment with this concert, but then you're planning NDI, you're looking at spring, and you're looking for new singers to come on board. It's always something going on.
that's right, and that's just one. That's just the Zia Singers portion of my musical life. But yeah, I mean, it's how a musician and a singer and an artistic director functions. I mean, you have to be looking ahead. You have to be in the moment as well.
Yeah.
There's lots of things to consider, but I'm so glad and feel so blessed to be, have so much music around me and have so much wonderful music and a wonderful community of people. The Zia Singers, as Susan mentioned earlier, it's a great group of people. They're very welcoming, very warm. We encourage new singers all the time, but it's a very welcoming environment.
Oh, that sounds like a great place to come and form community and enjoy yourself at the same time.
yes.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you guys for your time. And on that note, this has been another Conversations Different. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening to Conversations Different, hosted by me, Inez Russell Gomez, editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our weekly episodes would not be possible without your support. We hope you enjoy them and keep listening. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Consider signing up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our podcast is available by visiting our website, santafenewmexican.com/podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Conversations Different with Inez Russell Gomez is produced by Matt Dalside and Ernesto Cisneros, published by the Santa Fe New Mexican, a local and independent newspaper owned by Robin Martin.